All right, so you want to dive into rock and roll, like really get under the hood of what makes it tick.
You want more than just the names and dates.
You want that raw energy, the history, the rebellion.
The stuff that makes you want to crank it up to 11.
That's what this deep dive is all about. Tracing those roots, uncovering those influences.
And trust me, rock and roll's family tree, it's got some seriously twisted branches.
It's wild. I mean, think about it. You've got rhythm and blues, that raw emotion and groove.
And then you throw in some country, that storytelling, that twang.
And don't forget jazz, that improvisation, pushing boundaries.
And a little sprinkle of gospel, that fire, that passion.
You put all that in a blender, hit go, and what do you get?
Rock and roll, a recipe for pure sonic energy exploding onto the scene in the 1950s.
It's like those ingredients were just waiting for the right moment to collide.
And you can hear it in those early pioneers. Think Muddy Waters, that gritty voice, that slide guitar.
Chuck Berry, the king of the guitar riff. Those lyrics about cars and girls and breaking free.
They were already pushing boundaries, experimenting with sounds, planting those seeds that would blossom into rock and roll as we know it.
And then comes Elvis. Boom.
Talk about a game changer.
It's like the world went from black and white to full-on Technicolor.
Elvis was more than just a singer. He was a cultural earthquake.
Those hip movements.
Scandalous.
That voice.
Electric.
It was rebellious, it was dangerous, and it drove people wild.
He challenged every norm, everything that was considered proper in the 1950s.
He became a symbol of youthful rebellion, of freedom, of letting loose.
They didn't call him the king for nothing.
And just when you thought things couldn't get any bigger, the music jumps across the pond.
Get ready for the British invasion.
The Beatles. The Rolling Stones.
Names that echo through generations.
But here's the thing, they didn't just copy what came before.
They took those raw ingredients and created something totally new.
The Beatles, with their catchy melodies, their songwriting genius.
The Stones, that raw energy, that bluesy grit.
And it wasn't just them. This is a whole movement, a sonic explosion.
Think psychedelic rock, bands like Pink Floyd, experimenting with sound and pushing creative boundaries.
Folk rock, with artists like Bob Dylan, using music to tell stories, to protest, to speak truth to power.
The music was changing, reflecting the times, the counterculture movement, a generation questioning everything.
And then, buckle up, because things are about to get loud.
Late 60s, early 70s.
Enter hard rock, heavy metal, punk.
It's like the volume got cranked up to a whole new level.
Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, the Ramones.
Each band a different flavor of rebellion, pushing the boundaries of what music could be.
It was raw, it was powerful, it was a reflection of the times.
The Vietnam War, social and political upheaval, a generation grappling with uncertainty and change.
Music became an outlet, a weapon, a way to scream and shout and make sense of the world.
And it wasn't just noise, it was innovation.
New sounds, new instruments, new ways of expressing yourself.
Rock and roll was evolving again, becoming a mirror to society.
But here's the thing about rock and roll, it never goes out of style.
It just keeps evolving.
The 80s brought us alternative rock, grunge, a new wave of bands with something to say.
Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden.
And it didn't stop there. Indie rock, punk rock, metal, it all kept evolving.
New subgenres, new sounds, new generations discovering the power of rock and roll.
It's a living, breathing thing, constantly changing, constantly pushing boundaries.
So I'll leave you with this thought. What is it about rock and roll that still resonates with us today? Why does it still have the power to move us, to inspire us, to make us want to get up and move?
And that raw energy, that spirit of rebellion, that constant evolution.
I think the answer lies not in a history book, but in the music itself.
So put on your favorite rock and roll record, crank it up, and discover what speaks to you.
Because rock and roll, it's more than just music. It's a feeling. It's an attitude. It's a way of life.
And on that note, we'll leave you to your own sonic exploration. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into the music that moves us. Until then, keep on rocking.